and sometimes this is something that a brand does wrong. They just think that, okay, if an influencer has really big following, then let's work with them. So it's not always the case. You really need to
do your homework.
Do your homework.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hash It Out. We have Carla here with us, who's the social media manager of Iowa. Welcome on board.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to tell us a bit about how you got into social media?
Of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm Carla. I've been working in social media for 10 years, close to 10 years, actually.
One of the founders of...
No, not one of the founders of social media, true, because social media was very different in the past, like 10 years ago. But yeah, so basically overall in terms of experience, so I've started, when I first started, it was a startup agency. So I do have a bit of the agency life. And then I moved to publications where I would manage campaigns for different brands for those publications. And then I moved to the biggest e-com in the region. And that was super fun to work at because I got to experience social from a client side, but at the same time, got a lot of experience from the different brands. And different brands as in beauty industry, fashion industry, sports. So it was pretty amazing, to be honest, the exposure-wise. Then I moved to luxury side. So again, retail, but luxury. And now I'm at Iowa. So it's the biggest eyewear e-com in the region.
So you've been around, you have like...
I've maintained sort of like at least the industry, but what was amazing is the different industries that I worked with, you know? And I think that's what's important for maybe every social media manager is to experience or explore the different industries, because that's what makes it really fun. And then you see where you see yourself more. Like, is it fashion? Do you prefer working on beauty? Do you prefer working on sports maybe? So it really depends on, you need to run through each phase to understand yourself more, basically.
No, it's definitely important to try different things, especially like in this industry, like which is a creative industry. It's important to dabble around different categories. Okay, as someone who started in social from the early days, like can a brand be built on social and how does that succeed?
Honestly, the straight answer is yes, because we do know that a lot of brands have done it. And right now it is the era of social media. Like for you to succeed, you cannot not be on social media. So you need to start on social media, but you need to have certain foundations for it to actually work. So you need to understand, first, you need to build your brand identity. Like that's number one. Second, you need to understand your audience. Who are you talking to? What's unique about your company or your product? And your content strategy. So obviously you need to create really compelling content that actually would stand out because of the competition, because whatever you're creating, obviously there is someone else that has that same product, unless it's something like that doesn't exist. But that's the challenge. So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to opening your brand fully on social, but you also need a budget. So you need to have budget behind it. You need to work with creators. You need to work with influencers. You need to put paid marketing, to have paid advertising. So there are a lot of layers for you to be able to succeed, but of course it's not impossible. So.
Okay. And speaking of budgets and like investing in creators and influencers, what's the right mix for a brand between the content that the brand creates, creator content and influencer content?
Honestly, they are very different. Some brands tend to mix them a bit because they feel like as a brand, okay, let me create content like a content creator, but like each one should stick to what it is that they want to deliver, like what messages they want to. So basically from a brand perspective, whenever a brand is creating the content, so that's where you need to basically talk about your brand identity, your values, who you are, why should a customer trust you. So you're building that audience. You're talking to certain people that you want to sell to. So you need to understand exactly who this person is. Now, from a creator's perspective, this creator is coming in and bringing their own unique perspective into your marketing. So they're basically assisting you in whatever message that you want to relay. They're just coming in from a creative perspective and creating content for you in a very creative way. So that's the value that they add. Influencers, you're tapping into their audience, their followers. So they are already, if you're working with mega influencers, so they already have an established following. And of course, here you need to know which influencers to work with, depending on your goals, obviously. And you want to see, okay, does this influencer fit my brand guidelines? Does she fit or he fit to represent my brand? Are their audience, their followers, suitable for my brand? Are they in the right market, the right interests? So all this. And sometimes this is something that a brand does wrong. They just think that, okay, if an influencer has really big following, then let's work with them. So it's not always the case. You really need to
do your homework.
Do your homework, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And if you had to give it like a rough percentage, like 10%, 20, 30, like how would you split them?
Honestly, for me specifically, I really like working with creators, because for me, creators will add value to me more, because like for me personally, I don't really follow influencers. I follow creators. I enjoy following creators that they're not selling me, directly. That's the trick. Influencers, the really big ones, that they got paid from the brands. So it's all just like, okay, another ad. And they're probably promoting so many other products at the same time. So there's that trust, that creators have more. So the creators, they have that authenticity and trust sometimes. I'm not saying all of them. But of course, there are some influencers that are amazing, so we don't want anyone to be upset.
No, definitely. Like, I understand your point of view as a customer.
Yeah.
Like, they are more trustworthy. They seem like they're actually sharing their actual opinion.
Yeah.
But then they become influencers.
Like, exactly. It's a cycle.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned that most brands, there is competitors that are doing something similar. So how can an eyewear brand stand out on social?
Look, with an eyewear brand, I'm going to start with the challenging part. The challenging part is, at the end of the day, you're promoting the same thing, which is sunglasses, eyeglasses, lenses. So you shouldn't fall into being repetitive with the type of content. So that's when you really need to stay on top of the creativity and the content that you're creating. Also work with the different creators. Try to do things that your competitors are not doing. So you need to stand out. You need to create content that's a bit different. Really know your brand identity and focus on that, your goals, and you can do whatever it is that you can do. But it's not hard. Mm-hmm. It's just you need to have that unique aspect. Like with Iowa, for example, we focus a lot on lifestyle content / influencer content creators. We put a lot of who Iowa is into that content, so you can see it on social a bit. Maybe other brands, they focus more on just creative campaigns. There isn't that personal element to it. Like, okay, who is the brand? It's like even in the captions, it's the way you're writing the captions. Is it engaging? Is it not? So all these, they play a role like into creating your brand or your brand presence on social. Definitely.
And in 2024, with nearly everyone being on social, is organic enough?
That's a good question. Okay, so in terms of organic, it's definitely has great value, but alone, it's not very effective. You need to have paid marketing behind it. There's so much competition around, obviously, we just said. But another thing, the algorithm is changing a lot. So every day you wake up, there's something different. And at the same time, all these social channels, they support more, they push more paid. They have all these paid tools that they want us to use. So your reach, your organic reach is slowly decreasing day by day. So whenever you might create the best content and push it out on the channels, but it's not going to get that much traction unless you put some money behind it. So you need a budget as a brand to be able to reach more people and all that. It is doable, but there's going to be challenges.
It's going to be harder. It's going to be a lot
It's going to be harder, yeah.
Okay, and if you're starting a new social page for a new brand in 2024, what's the one thing or a few things that you would focus on?
First, brand identity, of course. So again, establish who your brand is, what are your unique selling points, how am I different, and what's my voice going to be like? So how am I going to be communicating with my people? Number two, which is super important, understand your audience. So who is my audience? Who am I talking to? Basically, what really works is when you deliver an experience. So at the end, you want the people watching, or your followers or your customers, to really feel, if I wear, let's say, these sunglasses, this is how I would feel. So you're selling them the experience and the feeling rather than the product. And that's the trick, basically. Third, obviously, you need to think of the different creators, the different influencers you want to work with. You need to have a content strategy. So again, you need to focus on what type of content am I creating that will meet my brand guidelines and my brand identity, that would support it, basically. So what else? There are a lot of things, honestly. Like the list goes on.
Yeah.
Paid advertising. You need to think if you have a website or not. You need to, again, like, what is the product exactly? What's the company? Just understand your goal, and based on your goal and your objective, then, you can slowly build that out, basically.
Okay. And what are the most underrated features you can choose on any platform or across that a lot of social media managers don't use?
There are a lot, to be honest. Not a lot, but we get so comfortable with using certain features that we forget others exist. One feature that I use a lot, I don't know if others do too, but I think that it's missing a bit with others. The sticker boxes, the stickers on Instagram, for example, because that's where you can get so much information from your followers. Just because it's always easier for a person to reply on a sticker, like on a poll or a question sticker, rather than if you tell them comment below in a caption on a post. 50% of the time people will not do it on a post, but they would do it on a sticker. It's easier. It's just a click of a button, a poll, yes, this, that.
It's a bit gamified as well.
Yeah, and because it's private. So people, for me, for example, I never comment on any brand page because why? You feel okay, other people might see my answer or whatever. So you feel uncomfortable. But when it's private, you easily do it. And that gives you so much information about your customers. It's great. It's amazing. Another thing, maybe TikTok lives, for example. I don't see a lot of brands doing it. It's more creators, it's more influencers. But I feel again, lives are something, it gets people closer to the brand. Because you're there, it's in real time, and there's someone from the brand talking. It's just the way they need to do it. Maybe it needs to be a bit less commercial. Yeah, less commercial, more authentic and real. But yeah, others... There are a lot. LinkedIn poll, for example. Again, this is something that taps on the engagement part. So yeah, I think it's just the engagement part that needs to...
Definitely. Thanks a lot for coming. That was the last question. And thank you guys for watching.